Lawrence Shankland's completed his move from Hearts to Rangers. One of the first big moves of this summer transfer window, and this is huge. I mean, it will be a move that some will see as controversial from Hearts to Rangers. It makes a lot of sense in some ways. I'm going to be talking about this today because this is huge news, what this could mean for both teams, for him personally, and also the Scottish Premiership as a whole. And the season that coming up next season is going to be huge. And this is a huge move, and it's a big statement signing, I think, from Rangers. So to start with, Hearts have obviously have had a magnificent season that just had a horrible end on the final day at Celtic Park, where they only needed the draw to secure the title, but ultimately lost the title to Celtic. I've got a whole separate video about this individual game, multiple videos I've done about this, particularly a title race across the whole season is one that I was very invested in right from the start. And Hearts, well, the real kind of big thing was Hearts could be the first team in over 40 years to lift the Scottish Premiership that wasn't either Rangers or Celtic, the first team to do that since Alex Ferguson's Aberdeen. And so it was a huge sort of season. And it's something they've been building towards for a while. They've had investment from Tony Bloom. It was something they was really working towards since coming. That's good seasons before, but since coming back up, they've been in 2021. They've been really building towards this for a while, and they slowly got better and better and better. Had seasons where they played in Europe, a few third place seasons where they had not really been able to, put in a sustained challenge for the title. But going into this previous season, 25-26. There's a real feeling like if they're ever going to do it, this could be the one. And there was a feeling that they could maybe be able to do something here, even though like previous seasons, if anyone had ever challenged Rangers or Celtic in the second half of the season, the title races that they was always come crashing down. They've never been able to keep up the consistency of those two, and even Rangers over recent years, even they have struggled to keep up with the consistency of Celtic. There's been very few times they run them close, and there was obviously the one year where they run away with the title, 2020 to 2021. Apart from that, it's been complete Celtic domination, and for the last 40 years, it's been complete Rangers and Celtic domination over this league as well. So what Hearts were doing last season was incredibly impressive. McKennie set them up so well, and it was also, got the recruitment so right. But when they got Lawrence Shankland in 2022, when they signed him from side in Belgium, it was an absolute bargain they got him for, and it's just proven to be a massive. Massive signing, because 400,000, I believe they signed him for, and to put that in context, a day's money, that's nothing. That's pennies for a football club. So even in this type of the league as well. So and it proven to go on. He's proven to go on to be a very, very important player for them, the best player that they've had over these years they have had, Hearts, and a big part of their title challenge last season. 13 Scottish Premiership goals he got. Bear in mind he had a lengthy period out injured, and he had a few injuries at various points throughout the season. That's Halley, I think, would have been higher, would have been a lot closer to his 24 goals that he got in 24-25 season, where he really did carry the team. But yeah, I thought that, Rangers and Celtic, since he's really sort of made a name for himself at Hearts and been the main man there, the captain, the most important player to them. There's been a lot of attention from Rangers and Celtic, because them two being by far the biggest teams in Scotland, anyone does do really well and stand out for the other clubs, even if they are the big teams, like the Edinburgh clubs, like the Aberdeen, Dundee, those types of teams. Rangers and Celtic are always going to have their eye on them, it seems, because that seems to be where the best players in Scotland play. It's just how it's been for so long. But Hearts was able to keep hold of Lawrence Shankland for a while. Was able to keep hold of him for this season, crucially, which is the one where they really went up another level and really challenged for this title. Because they didn't perform last season. Like I said, Lawrence Shankland really carried the team, to be honest. But this time round, McKennie really found the system that got them to work. They're hard to beat. They were they were so good in that first half of the season. Just looked like they were going to run away with it. Got tougher in the second half of the season, but with the late goals, with the setup, with preserving a really good home form despite being quite poor away from home, to be honest, in the final weeks of the season, they was able to put in a real, looked like for a while they was going to do it, but went crashing down on the final day. They took the lead at Celtic Park, but it obviously all come up. Lawrence Shankland took the lead for them, but then it come crashing down in the second half, ended up losing 3-1. and that was a really, really tough one to take the way they lost the title race on the final day, absolutely devastating. But even more so now, adding to the pain of that, now losing their main man, they'll be absolutely gutted. And well, the controversy behind this will be the fact that he was thought of so highly at Hearts, and to move on after a season like this where they've ran so close, and to not stay another season and give it another go. Some people will have something to say about that, but then again, the flip side of that is it's his career. He's the next Rangers is still a step up in many ways. If he wants that move, then he's more than entitled to. He's earned the right to that move, to play for one of the two biggest teams in Scotland and go up another level. He's every right to. He's 30 years of age. If he's going to make that big money move, it has to be now for him, really. If he's going to make the big step up, it was probably the chance to do that. If he was to stay at Hearts and see out his contract now, that would probably be the last chance. It'd probably be turning down the last chance for that move. It's also Scotland's striker going into the World Cup as well. He's got a big summer coming up. So to leading the line for Rangers as well, really is making his name for himself as a Scottish striker. And what the other side of this is, what this does mean for sort of Scottish football. This could really hurt Hearts' chance of a title challenge next season. Claudio Braga, their other main man up front, the other top goal scorer from last season, was looking like he could be on the way out as well, which will really, then their team really will be getting dismantled, Hearts. And there's that side of it's a real shame, because it's taken so long to build this team, and this is football, this does happen. But to see it kind of, there's a lot of financial side of this as well, and then to see it get sort of taken apart bit by bit, it's a real shame when you think of how good they were last season and how much they've put in to get to this point. However, Rangers, they were within the right to go for this type of player. They've been crying out for this type of player for so long, and it's a massive addition for them, and I think it's something their fans will be very excited about. It was the main priority for them last time, and they missed out on him, and they was able to get in there this time around and get him on a free transfer. The contract situation is a bit confusing, because he was on a 3-year deal at Hearts, but I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there was a break clause in his contract, and what my understanding of this was when he signed this deal, which is the reason his agents allowed him to sign this deal, which was allow him to leave for free in this summer. Hearts agreed to that, to keep him at the club for this season, and maybe next season or whatever, but to keep him at the club and get him on a contract, even if there was a bit of a catch. And I think there's a lot of frustration from Hearts supporters about the way their owners have handled this, because they've ended up losing their best player and got nothing for him. And a lot of them are just saying, well, you've now just got him off the wage book, basically, and well, he's gone on, because there's two sides of this as well. Like I've had this a lot at my club, Chelsea. I've seen with players over years demanding more money and whatever, and it's some will say these are really important players to us, give them what they want to keep them at the club. Others are saying no, they don't want to. They're saying they want more money. They're on more than enough already. Just get shot of them. There's another side of that, because there's a whole sort of contract sort of security that comes with being on more money as well. It's not just about having more cash. It's about being seen as an important player for the club and securing your future there. So some will say, what I'm saying is some will say Hearts should have, if he wanted more money, they should have paid it to him, because of all the work he's done for him over the last 3 seasons. They should have, or however long, they should have said, well, that's what he wants. He's the main man, the talisman, the club captain. We're going to give him what he wants. We're going to make him feel important. Let him know how important he is to the club, given the contract he wants that Rangers were offering him. But then so there's that side of it. But the other side of it is, well, if he's not up for it, anymore, he wants more money elsewhere. And it's not just about it. I don't think that's what it is, by the way. But some people will look at it from that perspective. And well, then that will be sort of kind of, because what I'm saying is as well, he'll have broke, he's kind of broke that kind of thing he had at Hearts. His legacy at Hearts will be really sort of tainted by this move for sure, and if he goes and wins the league with Rangers next season, he won't be a popular figure with Hearts supporters anymore, which is a shame, but that is how it works in football for sure. As for Rangers, though, we'll talk about what this move means from a Rangers perspective. Rangers go into next season, I potentially think, as maybe title favourites in Scotland, because you've got Celtic going through a transitional period. They always seem to deal with it. They've got that experience and that winning mentality and all of that. Looks like Robbie Keane will be taking over, from what I've heard, next season from O'Neill. it seems at this moment anyway, that's been something that's rumoured for a while. So they'll be having a transitional year, whereas Hearts, very much be rebuilding, will be very much sort of damage limitations at this point. They can't lose anyone else now, but because I was thinking if they keep the whole team together, there's every chance they'll go again next season. But losing Lawrence Shankland already, that's really hurt the chances of that. For the Scottish football, that will potentially eliminate anyone else from really challenging Rangers and Celtic next season. So there is that as well. But Rangers looking like Danny Rowley's going to stay. They were so good last season, top goal scorers, best goal difference, and all of that, playing the best actual football, especially going into the playoff matches. But just didn't perform in those last 5 games, those big games. Really, really let it slip, which is a shame because of how good they were. They actually looked like the favourites going into the split last season. But coming into this season, keeping hold of Rowley and adding to a squad that was already scoring a lot of goals and already, playing such good football. Adding a player who's an out-and-out goal scorer to that. Bear in mind, they already had Sameti, who got them 15 goals last season. But they're adding another player, another striker. But my thinking is they're not necessarily replacing Sameti, who's done well for them over this season. Really got going with some good goals. It was a really good addition for them from Everton. What they're doing is, Sameti's 21. He's almost, he's 8 or 9 years younger than Lawrence Shankland. So you've got an experienced striker there, and you've got someone who's young and already shown his potential over the course of this season. So I don't think that's the end of him at Rangers necessarily. The difference between Danny Rowley and McKennis is, they were very much always set up with the 4-4-2 Hearts. They had a way of playing. Shankland and Braga would play together, right? And what we know about Danny Rowley is he can alter his system to, depending on the opposition, depending on the players he wants to select, all of this stuff. He doesn't necessarily play the same system week in, week out. There's different formations he plays with, and I'd like to see that because you don't see that a lot with modern managers. So what my thinking is we'll see different setups from Rangers next season. I think quite often, we'll see Sameti and Shankland play together to get the most out of the team, to be able to utilise their sort of high intensity way of playing and be able to have them on together and have 2 really big goal threats on the pitch. I think that certainly would be a way that a thing they could do here. And with Lawrence Shankland, they're adding so many goals to a team that was already scoring so many. I think this is a big statement move Rangers needed, a big statement signing. I think this is a huge signing, one they've been crying out for a while, because here they've put a lot of faith in younger players over recent years, and it's starting to pay off under Rowley. But here they're getting a very, very experienced, very highly thought, top-level, proven striker in Scotland, and the Scotland national team striker as well. So it's a big, big move for Rangers, and it's something that is very exciting from their perspective. Gutted for Hearts' perspective though, because to lose out on the title like that, now to lose the main man, and you think they've handled it badly as well, because if they could have got any cash for him, that could have been reinvested in other areas, and they could have strengthened the team. But now here they've ended up with nothing, and they've ended up certainly coming off of this worse Hearts, not only losing the best player, losing him for nothing, on top of a disappointing end to the season that they'll need to pick themselves back up from anyway. But I'm sure they'll have a plan. I'm sure, they won't completely fall away. But it'll be interesting to see what they can do over this summer, Hearts, from their point of view. But certainly at this moment, looking very good for Rangers, and Lawrence Shankland, a massive signing, and him making that move from one sort of title challenger last season, Hearts, to another in Rangers. Certainly very interesting. So what do you think about this Lawrence Shankland move? Please let me know. There's a lot there's lots going to come, I'm sure, about this, but will Celtic respond now? It'll be interesting to see what they do in this transfer window now. I've already heard a lot of rumours about stuff that could be happening with them, so we'll give another update on all this movement another day. But yeah, Lawrence Shankland to Rangers, huge signing already in this summer transfer window.